And now, from the craziest city on the planet, this is Online Tonight, on the air toll-free at 1-800-39-ONLINE, 1-800-396-6546. And now, the host of Online Tonight, Max.
All right. Welcome. This is Online Tonight on this rainy Sunday. At least it is here in Southern California. I'm Max Smart. This is episode number 2090 of Online Tonight, where we talk about the latest tech, pop culture, and more. And more is pretty much anything but except for politics. So think theme parks, food, video games, pets, movies. Coming up this hour, we have, of course, our Geek Speak, our Bookmark This, a new deal for Apple in China, a new Tesla recall that is surprisingly not car-related, and we have a movie review, Freakier Friday. But more importantly, I want to make your life easier when it comes to your everyday tech products. I love answering your questions, and there's a couple ways that you can get into the show. The best way is to call our Broadcast Bionics Caller One system using our toll-free telephone number, 1-800-39-ONLINE, 1-800-396-6546. It's the toll-free telephone number. I like this method the absolute best because that way we can have a conversation. I always have follow-up questions, and if you use the other ways to contact me, then I have to make a lot of assumptions and guesses. So the phone number is the best way, 1-800-39-ONLINE. But, of course, you can also email the show. And the email address for the show is very simple. show@onlinetonight.com, SHOW, show@onlinetonight.com. And we have a text voicemail number, 951-395-1017, 951-395-1017. Data rates may apply. Leaving a voicemail is your authorization to broadcast your likeness. And that number again, 951-395-1017. The email and the text voicemail number, they work 24/7. So if you're listening via the podcast or maybe the YouTube archive or anything like that, then use that. While we're live, then use the toll-free telephone number. Victoria's producing the show. She's answering your calls and checking for your messages on all the platforms. Before we get started, this portion of the show is brought to you by Paramount Plus. It's official. It's fall. And sports season is also well underway. It's football, of course. I believe basketball has started. Well, I don't really follow basketball, so we may actually be in the middle. I have no idea, but I know that there was basketball because the two sports teams in my area were both playing on the same night, luckily in different buildings. So that's pretty good. You can now live stream all the NFL games airing on your local CBS station. You can find out all that Paramount Plus has to offer by visiting this website, onlinetonight.com/stream, onlinetonight.com/stream. And this portion of the show is also brought to you by my new line of pirate-themed shirts and merch. And you can check that out by going to onlinetonight.com/store, onlinetonight.com/store. And I'm going to ask Miss Victoria if she would take a moment or two to make sure that the 3 new shirts are visible, and if they are in the Pirates section, because I forgot to check. I'm sure the people over at swagtothemax.com did a fantastic job. All right, Apple news. Apple released the second public beta of macOS Tahoe 26.2. Before we jump into that, I should say that I have updated my phone, like I said I would last week, to 26.1 iOS on my iPhone 16. I don't have the newest 17 because I had just, before they announced it, my carrier offers a upgrade path, and I had just pulled the trigger on that like a month before the 17s came out. I should have known, right? They keep doing this to me every year, and I'm always like a month late. So I'm on 16, and the interface is very interesting. If you want more information about that and some of the things I've changed, then we can talk about that. But right now we're talking about the beta of Tahoe 26.2. It adds some new edge light features that create a light border around the display to simulate one of those ring lights, but it's actually rectangular. So it's a rectangular light. Edge Light uses the neural engine to position lighting around the user's face. Light color can be adjusted from warm to cold. So think of like the Elgato key lights or the Newers, where you can set the temperature. You can go like 3K or 3100K, or you can go down to, what is it, 1500? I don't even know what the numbers are. Let's have a peek. So this would be 6150, and that is 3150. So it's going to have similar color like that, I'm guessing. It works with video conferencing applications with features like backgrounds, portrait mode, voice isolation. It requires, obviously, Apple Silicon. So if you're still running on an i5, i7, or i9, you're not going to get that. The public beta, if you are not a developer, but you still want to grab it, you can get that now. And they're expecting that it'll launch in about 3 weeks, so December. Apple has a new deal in China, and the name of the company is Tencent. They own a lot of companies. I was surprised at the long list of companies that they own, and just incredible game companies, like video game companies. I believe they own WeChat. They own a lot of stuff. Apple and Tencent have reached a deal allowing Apple to process payments inside WeChat mini games and mini apps. Apple will collect a 15% commission on qualifying purchases made within the WeChat application on all iPhones. I don't know about iPads, and I'm guessing it doesn't work on a Mac. Did you know that if you have an Apple Silicon, you can run a ton of iOS apps? I work with this actor application called Rehearsal Pro. It's fantastic. And I have run it on a MacBook Air as well as on my iPads because I like the larger screen to see the scripts. And as long as the developer doesn't specifically block you, you can actually get it installed on your macOS. But don't ask me exactly what the steps are because I think you have to. There's some tricks. Most Chinese iPhone users rely on WeChat instead of downloading separate apps, making this a major new revenue opportunity for Apple. Many app purchases historically bypass Apple's App Store commissions. Bloomberg estimates the deal could generate billions of dollars for Apple due to WeChat's massive ecosystem. Public disclosure of the agreements is expected soon. I think we got pretty much what we need to know. Both are going to thrive. Apple's going to get a percentage, and they could make billions. So there you are. Tesla is adding CarPlay support in some of their new cars. Tesla is developing Apple CarPlay support after years of refusing to include it. CarPlay is now in testing, according to sources familiar with the project. So this is rumor, speculation. I don't think Tesla has officially said, "Hey, we're going to support CarPlay." But Mac Rumors, I believe, is where I picked this up. They had a source who said, "Oh yeah, it's in the labs, it's in testing, it's in QA." The feature may roll out as early as December, or maybe January, maybe February. Timing is not finalized, so that they're not saying exactly when, because again, Tesla hasn't made an official announcement. Tesla will run CarPlay inside a window within its own interface, because they've got those big 15-inch displays. So it's almost going to be like CarPlay is going to be its own little window or little app inside, and they're not using the new stuff. It's not going to control the temperature and the odometer and the dial and the speed limiter thing. It's just going to be standard CarPlay, not CarPlay Ultra, at least according to this report. Tesla hopes adding CarPlay will improve sales since some buyers avoid getting a Tesla due to its absence. Well, I'll be very honest, and that is, we were going to rent a car, and Tesla was an option. I've always wanted to drive a Tesla, and I thought, this would be an interesting opportunity to see what it's like to have an EV. Because you know me, in the past, I'm fairly anti-EV, especially considering the distance. But in this particular case, we weren't going very far. I thought, Tesla would be cool. And Miss Victoria says to me right away, "So you got CarPlay? How are we going to get our directions?" I said, "I don't know." So I asked the person. They said, "No, the only ones we have right now that have that are Camrys." Guess what we drove? We drove a Camry. So there you go. Last week I told you that WhatsApp now has an Apple Watch app. Well, my VW is jumping into that same game. I'm Max. It's online tonight. Stay tuned.
Looking for a one-of-a-kind gift or to complete your own collection? Sumerian Collection offers a wide variety of vintage goods with new items added weekly. Books, collectibles, clothing items, jewelry, gadgets, and gizmos galore. Many items are from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, but exclusive finds from earlier time periods become available as well. Rare vintage items include dolls from around the world and foreign language books. Online shopping at Sumerian Collection is a breeze, with Etsy's secure payment processing and shipping to U.S. locations included free with every purchase. Visit SumerianCollection.etsy.com to see what's new and vintage this week. SAMERIAN Collection.ETSY.com. SAMERIAN Collection.ETSY.com. Sumerian Collection.
Online tonight. Geek Speak.
All right, I'm Max. This is Geek Speak, where we take a tech term and turn it into plain English right before your very ears. This hour's Geek Speak is Parallel Port. And this Geek Speak is powered by Anchor. I'm so excited that Anchor has launched their new Nano wireless car charger. This means that your phone is held securely within view while using its QI2 certified 15-watt wireless charging pad. Plus, the wireless charging pad is detachable, so you can kind of take it with you. And the charging the charging head, or the head of the mount, rotates 360 degrees and tilts 45 degrees to help you find the most comfortable viewing angle so that you're as safe as possible while you're driving. Check out all the great Anchor products at onlinetonight.com/anchor, onlinetonight.com/ANKER. Now, Parallel Port. A parallel port is an external interface commonly found in PCs or on PCs from the early 1980s all the way through the 2000s. It also served to connect peripheral devices such as printers and some external storage devices. The parallel port was large in size, but it was slow in speed. If you've ever come across a cable with a very chunky looking end, it might be a parallel port connector. There was 2 rows. I say was because past tense. We don't really see them very often now unless you're like a classic computer collector. It's got 2 rows of 25 pins surrounded by a metal casing. So that would mean it's a 50 pin, right? So basic math, 25 plus 25. It is roughly an inch in width and has 2 screw-in connectors to keep the cable in place. In width? No, mine were like almost 3 inches long. A parallel printer cable, man, it was humongous. Some cables used for printing even had larger 36-pin connectors. No, 2 rows of 25. Yeah, that's 50. All right. Don't listen to my math. While the first version of USB was not much faster than a parallel port, it offered other improvements, such as a smaller connector and the ability to send electrical voltage to power an external device. You always had to plug in your printer separately or your external hard drives separately because there was no power over the cable. It was also hot swappable, USB was, whereas connecting or disconnecting a peripheral via a parallel cable would damage the device or could even wreck the motherboard of the PC itself. So the introduction of USB 2, which provided higher data transfer rates, made the parallel port pretty much obsolete, except for in very, very, very specific cases like industrial manufacturing and things like that. So there you are. That is this hour's Geek Speak Parallel Port.
Online tonight.
Taking a break from texting each other across the room. This is Online Tonight. Now, here's Max.
All right, the phone lines are open. So call the Broadcast Bionics Caller One system using our toll-free telephone number at 1-800-39-ONLINE. Don't forget you can follow me on X and Instagram. I use the same account name on both platforms, at Max Smart Radio, at Max Smart Radio. I'm going to put up some samples of my shirts and things like that within the next couple days. I was out and about. I was going to take some photos, but it was pouring down with rain. So there was no good opportunities for some, as they say in the business, glamour shots. Miss Victoria,
Yes.
any questions, comments, or suggestions you want to jump in?
Yep. We
Okay.
have a listener question. This email comes from someone named Good Son
Mm.
in Reno.
Okay.
My elderly dad lives with us. He has an iPhone, and it occurred to me when he was visiting with other family members that I'd like to be able to keep track of where he is, especially since he doesn't always hear the phone. Can I use the Find My on my iPhone and his to see where he is at all times? How do I set that up?
Okay. Easy peasy. I mean, you have to have access to the person's device. So let's take your, what did you say? Elderly, what? Oh, elderly dad. So the thing is, you hopefully have a good relationship with this person because you're going to have to take their phone. You could do it in front of them. You take their phone, and then you change a setting in the Find My app, which is it looks like a little sonar screen, says Find My on it. You click on that, and then you go to, what I like to do is I go to People, which is the far left menu button at the bottom. I have 2 or 3 people there listed now. You do this from your dad's phone, and you click on the plus button. Now, I'm assuming also that he has an iPhone and an iCloud account. Okay, you cannot. Some elderly people don't have iCloud accounts, so loss prevention, synchronization for passwords, Find My, AirTag, some of these other things will not work if you don't have an iCloud. So there's 3 requirements. You got to have an iPhone with a reasonable operating system on it. So usually 17, 18, or the new 26. You got to have an iCloud account. And then you have to have kind of permission to set the phone up so that you can see where this person is, right? You don't want to do this covertly. That would be unethical and has led to restraining orders. And we don't want that. So we want you to be safe and help your family at the same time. So you click on People, you click on the plus button. You're going to say, share my location. Click it. Has a little arrow location icon, the one that's usually blue on your screen. It's kind of upward pointing arrow, like a compass pointer. And then you're going to put in your iCloud email address. Hopefully you're in the contacts list. You're going to put in your iCloud email address, and then you're going to hit the checkbox, right? Then when you go into your Find My app on your phone that uses obviously the iCloud account that you just said you're using on your end, and you go into People, your dad's phone should be right there. And there's probably a 4th thing that's required. You got to have location services turned on, because if the location services is turned off, it won't tell iCloud where in the world they are. Where in the world is my elderly dad? Reminds me of a cartoon when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
So those are kind of the 4 things. 3 are technical and 1 is kind of ethical, right? So hopefully that will answer your question, Good Son in Reno. Oh, I love Reno. Just a complete aside, we took the family there once and we went to the El Dorado. Was that what it was called, Miss Victoria? El Dorado? It's a
Yes.
casino there. They had all-you-can-eat buffet lobster. I like lobster. And they would only give you 1 or 2 tails at a time. But I think I went up like 3 or 4 times. Other people were having soup and bread and salad and a roast beef and all these other things. No. I had a little thing of peaches and cottage cheese. I got my iced tea, and I just hit the lobster section because I was spending, at the time, this was many, many years ago, I spent like $30-something. I mean, if you were to do this now in Vegas, it's like $80. Nobody goes to the buffets in Vegas anymore because it's not fun. But the El Dorado I don't even think it's there anymore in Reno. I haven't been to Reno in forever. So if I pop up there, I'd love to say hi. It's online tonight. Stay tuned.
At Bon Voyage Earns, we love our pets. We couldn't imagine our lives without them. But we know that when they pass on, we want to treat them with the respect they deserve, because they're family members too. Bon Voyage Earns makes biodegradable, marine-safe urns for the delivery of pets' cremated remains to a beautiful resting place in the Pacific Ocean. Love them while you have them. Give them a proper send-off when it's time. More information at bvorns.com.
Looking around for the phone number, it's 1-800-39-ONLINE, 1-800-396-6546.
Online tonight.
Well, back in the early days of radio, all they had were jungle drums beating the rhythmic message of traffic and weather from village to village. But did they complain?
Hell no.
Do you hear me complaining?
Hell no, because you got a massive secret race that caused all these problems in the first place.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Greatly appreciate it. This is Online Tonight. My name is Max Smart. Just call me Max. Our toll-free telephone number at 1-800-39-ONLINE is available using our Broadcast Bionics Caller One system. You can also reach out via our email or our text voicemail. The email address, show@onlinetonight.com, SHOW at onlinetonight.com. Our text voicemail is 951-395-1017. Again, 951-395-1017, 1017. Very simple. The email and the text voicemail number works 24/7. If you want to get into the show while we're live so we can have a conversation, use that toll-free telephone number, 1-800-39-ONLINE. Before we jump into our movie review of Freakier Friday, rated PG on Disney+, I just have to mention this product. I think it's really cool. It's the Govee Neon Rope Light 2, and it looks like a neon sign from a few feet away. It's incredibly shapeable neon light-looking strip with unique bend clips that help you create the angles and the corners to help you create your custom style. It comes in 10-foot and 16.4-foot lengths. You can get more information by going to Govee, using our website, onlinetonight.com/Govee. That's onlinetonight.com/GOVEE.
From Hollywood.
One very important thing, mate. I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
Blockbusters, tearjerkers, family fare.
Everything is awesome.
What's worth seeing in the theater, and what should you just watch at home?
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Here are your hosts.
My name is Max,
My name is Victoria.
and we want to share with you our thoughts on Freakier Friday. I don't know why the word freaky is hard for me, but, well, freaky, I can say freakier, which means more so than just plain freaky. Well, that's because this is a sequel. Freakier Friday, freaky, freakier, freakiest. Is there going to be a freakiest? Who knows? Let's start with the one we've got. Available on Disney Plus, rated PG. And I've got myself all tongue-tied, so I'm going to let Miss Victoria give you a little bit of background, who's in it, and what makes it different than the original Freaky Friday from 1977. What was the year? Was it 77? It was like a long time ago.
Okay. The very first Freaky Friday was 1976, I believe,
Oh, that
starring.
was Jodie Foster.
I'm sorry?
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, yes. The one that was starring these same characters, played by Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, came out in 2003. And
Oh.
what I like about this sequel is it takes place exactly 22 years after the events of the first movie, which came out 22 years ago. So we have kind of a real-time sequel.
Nice.
I hate sequels where you're like, does this pick up right after the last one ended? And, what time, where are we in history and, all that kind of stuff. There's no guesswork here.
All right, so 22 years have passed. Were you annoyed that you didn't really kind of get to find out like the whole story about how uh Lindsay Lohan's character, what is her name in the movie? Her character's name?
Anna?
Anna. So the premise basically is that Tess and Anna, so her mom and herself, the ones that body swapped back in 2003, 22 years later, Tess is still married because if you remember, that was a huge plot problem or plot twist, or that was the main plot in Freaky Friday from 2003. Now, Anna has her own teenage daughter. So, you're kind of wondering, is she going to, if this is a body swap movie, is she going to swap with Tess or is she going to swap with her mom, Anna? And all the teenage girls that we kind of get to learn about and stuff like that, they are dadless. So it's a Disney movie. Oh, no, that's not true. One parent's missing. That's the way I want to word it. And so Disney has this history of killing off a parent, like Bambi, mom dead. Up, I think Doug's mom is dead. There's a lot of
Snow White's mom is dead.
I mean, so many things.
Yeah, they're
all right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So now, at 22 years after Anna disrupted her mother's soon-to-be wedding, and they ended up body swapping so that they could learn more about each other. Then Anna, Lindsay Lohan's character, is herself getting married. And of course, the man that she's marrying has a daughter who is the same age as her daughter, and they don't get along. So they're about to become sisters. They hate each other. The guy that she's marrying, Eric, he is widowed, and so Lily, his daughter, really misses her mom. They come from London, and they're trying to decide if they're going to live in London or they're going to stay in LA. And so there's a lot of turmoil around this marriage. And when the body swap happens, it's a 4-way body swap. So we have the two girls and the mom and the grandma. They all swap. But
see, this is what Hollywood does. You see, they have to make it freakier. And how can they make it freakier? They have to include, instead of 2 people, now we have 4 people. However, I feel like they should have rolled the dice a little bit differently and maybe not have given them mother-daughter swaps, necessarily. Maybe Lily should have swapped with Anna, and I don't know. But I guess it worked out the way it did. I'm not the writer, so, what do I know?
Sure. So Lily ends up swapping with Tess, the grandma, and Harper, who is Anna's daughter. Harper and Anna swap. So it kind of makes sense because you keep the pairs that might be seen together. So it looks like Tess and Anna are going all around LA doing things together. The older mother and the 37-year-old daughter or whatever, and then the 2 girls are together, but they're actually the older people. So,
well, here's what I like about this, because it's mostly women in this thing. But being an immature little boy at heart, right? There's potty jokes, right? So when Lily turns into the grandma, she keeps complaining about how she keeps peeing a little. Oh no, I think I peed a little. So there's potty humor in here. So even the whole family could kind of watch it. Not a lot of fart jokes,
right?
But there's some funny moments that kept me engaged.
Well, that's what I like about this too. Is it is genuinely PG. There's no bad language. There's no adult situations or anything like that. It really is family friendly, and it's funny, and it has a lot of heart because you see how relationships develop between the different people, and you see how close the family is. And
I think they did a good job on that, by the way, because it could have been creepier Friday, right? Because they were about to get married, and like people who are in love and courting and engaged, they're kind of huggy and maybe kissy, and they might be trying out a few things before the wedding. But I like the way they just nipped that in the bud really quick. And they basically said, hey, one of our traditions is no touching until after the wedding. Boom. I mean, we didn't have, so there was no weird, butt slapping. There was no like uncomfortable kisses. There was no like shower things. We're not going to see each other. We're not going to touch each other until after the wedding. I mean, they just got that right clear so it didn't get creepier Friday. It's just freakier Friday.
Yeah, I think they did a good job, and there were a lot of callbacks to the original movie with some of the side characters and some kind of interesting little things that came after that maybe happened in between or didn't happen in between the two movies.
All right, so we're talking about Freakier Friday. I will struggle with that every day of the week. Rated PG on Disney Plus. One of the things I liked is it was a lot like what Disney used to make in 2003. There wasn't a lot of political statements. There wasn't a lot of, other kind of relationship nonsense that some of the people on the internet complain about. So I thought this was a really nice run. I thoroughly enjoy it. Miss Victoria, your rating?
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
I was hesitant to actually watch this because, I liked Lindsay when she was younger and when her bands first came up and, back in the Herbie days, which is like 20 years ago. And she kind of had her own struggles, so I was hesitant to watch this, but I thoroughly liked it. I will also give Freakier Friday, rated PG-13 on Disney Plus, a 4.5 out of 5. What movies are you watching? Let us know. It's online tonight. Stay tuned.
If you're an author interested in turning your works into audiobooks, Narrate Your Own Book is for you. Since 2005, David H. Lawrence XVII has taught 3,000 students the ins and outs of voiceover work, including narration of audiobooks. As an author, your curriculum includes more than the performance and recording aspects of narration. You also learn how to prepare your manuscript to become an audiobook and market it once it's finished. Visit narrateyourownbook.com for more information and a sample class. narrateyourownbook.com.
Online tonight.
Hey, bookmark this.
All right. Each and every hour, we give you a URL or a bookmark, a website that we hope you find fun, entertaining, or educational. This hour's is eatturkey.org. Eatturkey.org. The National Turkey Federation represents turkey growers and processors in the United States, the U.S. Learn about America's turkeys and the presidential group flock of turkeys. They used to pardon those. I think they still do that. They used to have them at amusement parks, and they don't do that anymore, I don't think. You'll also find delicious recipes. We've been changing up the way we do our my favorite turkey still is a deep-fried turkey because that oil kind of surrounds every angle of the thing. It cooks evenly right through. I mean, it is fantastic, but it can be dangerous, so be careful. There's great recipes, great resources on preparing that turkey this holiday season. I think they even have like sides, like recommendations for sides, maybe how to make a good turkey gravy. I haven't perused the entire recipe list, but from what I saw, they look like there's a lot of good stuff. And they, again, have those, there's a section there called Thanksgiving 101. So this hour's bookmark, this is eatturkey.org, eatturkey.org. That is this hour's bookmark this. And brought to you by swagtothemax.com. More importantly, onlinetonight.com/store. It'll take you right to their place where I've introduced my new line of pirate t-shirts, and I hope you'll check them out. Right now, only the three of the 4 t-shirts are available, and we're going to be adding mugs and tote bags and maybe caps. I didn't like the original kind of look on the hats, baseball caps. And so I'm tweaking 1 or 2 of the logos a little bit to make it look better on the caps one, so it matches nicely. But you can find out all about that at onlinetonight.com/store.
Online Tonight.
Trying to figure out if these emojis are NSFW or not? This is Online Tonight. Now, here's Max.
All right, I mentioned at the top of the hour that Tesla has a recall that has nothing to do with cars, and I was actually very surprised about this. Very quick history. Apparently, Elon Musk had a relative or a cousin or a close friend and decided to invest in their solar company. That company was called Solar City. And one of the things that Solar City did was they went out and they put a bunch of solar panels on people's roofs, but they didn't sell them the solar panels. They sold it to them as if a service, like a service. Like, so you didn't own the panels and the inverters and all the other equipment. You basically paid a flat monthly fee for the total amount of energy that you could possibly have generated. And, I don't know if you know anything about the sun, but the sun in the summer in the northern hemisphere, it's opposite in the southern hemisphere, you would get peaks during certain months, and then you would get dips in other parts of the month. So they kind of averaged it out, and you just had a fixed rate, and you didn't have to finance or pay for, $20,000, $30,000 worth of panels. They made it like a utility. But one of the partnerships with Solar City was the Powerwall, which is a giant set of batteries. So during those peak times during the day, you could store any excess power and then run it, pull from the Powerwall so that you wouldn't have to get any electricity from the normal electric company to run your refrigerators, your lights, your TVs, your video games, etc. Eventually, I don't know what happened. Maybe the cousin said, I've already made my, $180 million or whatever the number is. I'm not going to run the company anymore. And Tesla just bought Solar City. Why do I bring all this up? Because around 11,000 Powerwall 2 AC battery systems in the U.S. have been recalled due to fire hazards. And lithium-ion batteries, or whatever they're using, I don't know exactly the battery technology in the Powerwalls. They can overheat, and they can smoke, and they can go catchy fire. And if you've ever seen a Tesla burn on the news, you can't put them out. They just kind of burn, burn, burn. Some of these things have been installed on an exterior wall. More dangerously, some of these things have been installed inside of the garage where people keep their paint and their gas cans for their lawnmowers or their car, or, maybe boxes of photos or something. You shouldn't do that because the changes in temperature in the garage is really bad for your photos and your family videos, and you should have those backed up anyway. But you don't want to have all these things that are highly combustible in the same room as a Powerwall that's going bad. Manufacturing lithium-ion batteries, the malfunctioning batteries, as I mentioned, overheat, smoke, catch on fire. It's a serious risk. You could maybe not make it out of the house if it catches on fire. And, of course, you've got all this property damage. Affected units were made between November 20th and December of 2022. Those were about $8,000. So if you paid $8,000 to $12,000, depending on how much your installers charged you, you want to check it. The CPSC received 22 reports of overheating. 6 involved smoke. 5 involved fire. No injuries were reported. So that's good news. Tesla has remotely discharged most affected units. Remaining units will be manually discharged and replaced at no cost. So you could reach out and say, hey, I have a model that was in these dates. And then you can schedule someone to come out if Tesla hasn't already let you know. Owners should monitor the Tesla app for updates and replacement instructions. I don't know if you know this, but in the United States of America, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Lexus, Tesla, GM, they can't sell you a car via a website online. All the states seem to require you to go through a dealer network. And maybe this is for employment reasons or serviceability, because if I buy a car from Detroit and have it shipped out to the West Coast, maybe I won't get the service that I want. And that's why they have these dealer networks and they have to sell it. So Tesla has been trying to get this overturned for a while in a bunch of states, it's not really winning for them. So they've started something different. They're going to start renting you a car. The test program will be in Southern California, San Diego, and Costa Mesa. You can rent it for $60 a day for 3 to 7 day minimum, depending on the model. Rentals include free supercharging and supervised full self-driving ability. Customers who want to buy a Tesla within a week of renting it will get a $250 credit. But I used to work for a tech executive, and he leased his car every 6 months, and he renewed it and got a new one about every 6 months to 8 months to a year. I could see there will be some people out there who just have a lot of money and don't want to have to buy a car outright. They'll just pay the monthly. It's Online Tonight. Don't forget to visit our website, onlinetonight.com.
Online Tonight is produced and copyrighted by Smart Family Media. All rights reserved. Host Maxwell Smart. Producer and other hats worn by Victoria Smart. Views and opinions expressed are those of the host, guest, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, affiliates, or other advertisers.
Online Tonight is live and on the air at 1-800-39-ONLINE, 1-800-396-6546.
Online Tonight.
I'm a 74-year-old grandmother. I love your program, but your darn voice makes me so excited I forget to tell you what I want.
And now, from the craziest city on the planet, this is Online Tonight, on the air toll-free at 1-800-39-ONLINE, 1-800-396-6546. And now, the host of Online Tonight, Max.
All right, welcome to Online Tonight. I'm not used to the cold. I basically live in the desert here in SoCal. Is Southern California is primarily a desert, and it is cold and rainy, and I don't know what to do with myself. This is hour 2 of episode 2090. I don't know if I told you that the first hour, but that's the episode that you want to check out for the show notes, the bookmark this, all the stuff we put on the websites. I'm Max Smart, by the way. And I love to talk to you about tech, pop culture, and pretty much whatever just kind of pops into my head. Coming up this hour, we've got our Geek Speak, our bookmark this, something game-changing in video games, prioritizing streaming, and our review of Jurassic World Rebirth. But more importantly, I'm here to help you with your tech questions. That's really what Online Tonight's about. Started off as the help desk. And for 30-plus years, been taking your emails, texts, calls, instant message. We don't really have that anymore. So now we do text and voicemails, emails, and you can call the toll-free telephone number. And you can ask your question. There's no such thing as a dumb question or a silly question. It might even help somebody else. And happy to help the best I can. So the best way to get into the show is to give me a call on our Broadcast Bionics Caller One system using our toll-free telephone number at 1-800-39-ONLINE, 1-800-396-6546. And this is the method I like the best because I always have follow-up questions. We can have a conversation. You can be my eyes and ears. We could kind of work these things out. Eyes and ears. My eyes, ears, hands, in case we have to type something on your keyboard. So that's a great way to do these things together. There are other ways to get into the show. I'll tell you about those in just a moment. Victoria's taking your calls, going through your texts and your emails and your voicemails. If you're not listening live, or maybe you're just feeling very, very shy today, you can feel free to reach out via our text and voicemail number at 951-395-1017. Data rates may apply. Leaving a voicemail is your authorization to broadcast your likeness. Again, that number, 951-395-1017. That works 24/7. You don't have to wait until we're live to call the number. You can just use that whenever you want, 24/7, every day a week, 366 days if it's a leap year. And our email address is also 24/7. show@onlinetonight.com, SHOW@onlinetonight.com. Before we jump into video game news, this portion of the show is powered by Anchor. They've been a pioneer in charging for over 10 years. Want to charge your devices quickly and efficiently? Anchor has all kinds of fast chargers, including their Prime and Nano lines, as well as their Mag Go, which is their ultra-fast magnetic wireless chargers. Very cool. Check out all the Anchor products by visiting our website, onlinetonight.com/anchor, onlinetonight.com/ANKER. Now, this is kind of a leak about what we might expect from PlayStation or Sony PlayStation division over the next little while. The leak suggests that the PlayStation Portal, PORTAL, may soon allow streaming of any owned PS4 or PS5 game without needing a PS5 console. Previously, the handheld only supported remote play or cloud streaming of PlayStation Plus titles. As you may or may not know, when you have a console, like I have a PS3 and other PlayStations, but I love my PS3. I'm a retro gamer. PSN, the PlayStation Network, where you can store your trophies and your titles and you chat with people and stuff like that. So I think what they're doing is they're saying, oh, we recognize that you are running this title. Not everybody buys everything digitally. So when you put your game into the disc player, because you bought a physical game, which I still highly recommend you do, sometimes the internet goes down, it probably talks to PSN and says, hey, this title is here. We're going to store some of your trophies and things like that, or at least some kind of settings as a backup. So they know what you're playing. And this, sometimes people find this creepy. But in this particular case, it is beneficial because if you are playing the PlayStation Portal on something else and the network knows that you have this game, it's going to let you play it. Of course, the future is going to require Wi-Fi and a PS Plus premium subscription. If this is true information, this really kind of changes the PlayStation Portal into a full-fledged handheld gaming device. You're not going to have you're going to have more access to the library that you already have. Now, the leak was apparently discovered on a PSN listing, which has since been removed. Sony took it down, and they have not said anything publicly. Sony has not said anything publicly about, the rumor/leak. The feature hints that the PlayStation 6 handheld may have a slightly different strategy, potentially allowing cloud access for your PS5 and PS6 titles. That's just conjecture. Sony has introduced Power Saver modes in PS5 games, possibly to enable next-gen handheld compatibility. This could mark a major return to portable PlayStation gaming. I used to play on a PSP. I loved my driving games and a couple sports games on that thing. That was a lot of fun. I think the last portable they had was the PS Vita or Vita. I never get that right. Vita, Vita. So it's been a while since they've had a true handheld. Microsoft might be dropping multiplayer paywall. Microsoft may remove the multiplayer paywall for its next generation Xbox, effectively making online play free. An upcoming Xbox is expected to run a full Windows installation with a console-like interface, blending PC and console features. It will support Steam, Epic Games Store, GOG, and other PC game launchers, unifying your game libraries. Backward compatibility will include all Xbox Series X and S games and older titles through emulation layers. The system will use AMD CPU and GPU technologies for improved performance, including ray tracing, dynamic upscaling, and possible, they're saying neural rendering, but it's AI-assisted rendering. Pricing is expected to be higher than traditional consoles due to PC-like capabilities, and the console itself could get to the $900 range, if not more, instead of the $499 that we're kind of used to now. Valve is seen as the main competitor with its SteamOS devices, following the success of the Steam Deck. Give me 1 second. I burnt myself on the tea. so I had to cough. Nintendo has released an official Nintendo Store app for your iPhone and your iPad, as well as Android devices outside of Japan. The app lets users browse and purchase Switch 2 and Switch consoles. We'll talk about that in a minute. Accessories, physical and digital games, and other merchandise, like cups and bags and hats and jackets and windbreakers. Selecting products opens them in the device's web browser. In-app purchases are currently not supported. I guess they don't want to pay the Apple tax, right? But they're going to show you like the gallery, the store, and all the cool things that what benefits you would get if you acquired these things outside of the app. You do have to have a Nintendo account and a network ID to access these features like historical gameplay activities for the Switch 2, the 3DS, and the Wii U. Users can set up push notifications for wish list sales and access to news feeds for games and events. The app offers rewards for checking in at official Nintendo stores and events, because they actually have shops, and sometimes they pop up to the Renaissance Fair. No, that probably would not be a good fit. Part of Nintendo's expanding suite of service apps alongside Nintendo Music and Nintendo Today. Very quickly, Nintendo is changing their primary development focus to the Nintendo Switch 2. The original Switch will not be retired immediately, but fewer games are expected for it. Switch hardware will continue to be sold based on consumer demand and market conditions. Several major Switch titles are still planned for release for the rest of the year and possibly going forward. 10.3 million Switch 2 consoles have sold since June. That's at 84%, with 84% of buyers upgrading from the original Switch. So it's really kind of the end days for the Nintendo Switch 1. Which one do you prefer? Stay tuned.
At Bon Voyage Earns, we love our pets. We couldn't imagine our lives without them. But we know that when they pass on, we want to treat them with the respect they deserve, because they're family members too. Bon Voyage Urns makes biodegradable, marine-safe urns for the delivery of pets' cremated remains to a beautiful resting place in the Pacific Ocean. Love them while you have them. Give them a proper send-off when it's time. More information at bvurns.com.
Online tonight.
Geek Speak. Geek Speak.
All right, this hour Geek Speak, where we take a tech term and turn it into plain English right before your very ears, is serial port. Serial port. Last hour we talked about parallel port. If you missed that, visit the OnlineTonight.com website. Look for episode number 2090. It'll be right there in the hour one show notes. You'll see that. We're going to talk about serial port in this hour. This Geek Speak is brought to you by Govee. Earlier, last hour I mentioned the Neon Rope Light 2. It has some really interesting features. It features easy integration with the Govee app, obviously, and smart home platforms. And it has more than 64 presets for lighting effects, to blend colors and create different segments of colors. It also has this AI lighting bot that allows you to use your voice or text prompts to kind of generate new light effects. How cool is that? It's pretty cool. I've seen it, and I can't wait to get it here. I'm not sure where I would put the logo. I might have to put it on another wall and just have like a side camera for like the rejoins or something for our visual audience that watches on the YouTube. That's what I mean. You can learn about Govee's products by visiting our website, onlinetonight.com/Govee, onlinetonight.com/GOVEE. And I don't move around a lot. So that's good for people who have vision challenges. So there's not a lot of text to read. It's just, my little bobbly head, like a sports figure. I wish. All right, serial port. A serial port is a type of hardware interface found on personal computers and other devices from the late 80s to the early 2000s. The original serial ports. I see where we're going. So we're classic here. They were called COM ports, and you could have, usually you had COM 1 and COM 2. If you were back in the old days where you had AOL and a modem, you had to plug your external modem or a Zycell or a whatever you had. You would plug that into your COM port, and then you had to make sure that your COM port matched the settings in your AOL software or your dial-up. It might have sometimes it was called an RS-232 port. All right, moving on. Serial ports were used to connect peripherals like modems, game controllers. Some mice were even serial mice if you weren't using like a PS2 mouse. Serial port connections transmit data differently than parallel. So let me give you what a parallel port does super, super fast. Think of a 3-lane freeway, and you have a green car, a red car, and a blue car. They can all drive at the same time. They can all use one lane at a time, and they can go together. They are driving in parallel, and they may not start and arrive at the same time, right? So somebody in lane 1 might get there a little bit quicker than the car in lane 2, and so on and so forth. Serial port, single lane freeway. It's a single lane, one car at a time. The green one's in the front, the red one's behind that, the blue one's there. You have to wait for the green one to get there before the red one can get there, before the blue one can get there. So serial ports, just one bit at a time, 1, 1, or 0. A serial port uses different pins to send and receive data, making the connection bidirectional. So you can have some cars coming this way and some cars going this way. That's why the freeway analogy or the highway analogy works really well. You've got cars going that way out of town, and you have cars coming into town. Serial port connections are slower than parallel port connections, just because you have one car in the lane. Everybody has to drive as fast as the slowest vehicle, and you can't go around and pass like you can. Not that you can pass in parallel, but you can't use a separate lane to do your own thing. The simpler technology means that the serial ports and the cables and the connectors are smaller, they're less expensive, easier to implement. There were multiple sizes of serial ports until the late 90s when the Universal Serial Bus Standard arrived. In case you didn't know, USB is serial. While generally considered obsolete nowadays in personal computing following the introduction of the USB port, serial ports are still used in embedded computers for industrial and scientific fields. I still have several PCs that have serial ports on them, and I use them for automation to fire off certain things. So there you are. That is this hour's Geek Speak serial port. Serial port.
Online tonight.
All right, I want to get to this question as quickly as possible, but I want to remind you that the phone lines are open. So call our Broadcast Bionic Caller One system using our toll-free telephone number at 1-800-39-online, 1-800-396-6546. And don't forget to follow me on X and Instagram. I'm going to be putting up my shirts and some other food-related things in the coming weeks. At Max Smart Radio. At Max Smart Radio is my name on both platforms. Victoria, go.
Yes, we have a listener question. It's an email from Jack in Tampa. I've never had Apple TV, but I've heard about so many great shows they have, so I think it's time for me to sign up. I know you're big into all things Apple, so I'm looking for advice on the best way to sign up. Are there different tiers or discounts available or bundles?
All right, Jack, very simple. This is a good one for a call because I could ask you a question specifically and give you a specific answer. However, it's also good that you emailed because now I'm going to have to go through all of the options and it might help other people. So I may have asked you, hey, do you have an Amazon subscription? Are you on Xfinity? Are you part of Spectrum? Do you have this? Do you have that? Have you bought a new Mac? I could have asked you that. You could have answered it, and I would have only given you one answer. But now I'm going to go through the whole thing. And I want to say that Apple has created confusion because when you say Apple TV, you don't mean that little black device that plugs into your HDMI cable that then displays a menu on your television. You're talking about the service, the video service. Used to be called Apple TV Plus. So Apple TV, formerly Apple TV Plus, is the service that offers you movies, custom programming, Major League Soccer, etc. So just keep that in mind. If you want to buy it direct, you can just go to Apple's website and you can pay $13 a month. That's for the ad-free plan via the Apple TV website, or you can, obviously, if you have a television with the app, an iOS device or an Android device, within the app, you can buy it. There's a thing called the Stream Saver Bundle. That is $15 a month if you're an Xfinity TV and internet subscriber. That includes Apple TV, and you also get the ad-supported version of Netflix and Peacock. So for $15, $2 more, you get 2 additional services. You can go to the bundle, and I think Peacock is the one that is probably pushing it more, is the Peacock bundle. And that's $15 a month for Apple TV and Peacock Premium. And that's available to general public. If you are if you're a Prime member, like you pay that $140 a year, you can add Apple TV to your Prime Video subscription for $10 a month. If you bought a new phone, iPad, MacBook, or an Apple TV 4K, you get a 3-month free trial. And last but not least, Apple One is their super bundle. It's like $20 to $38 a month, depending on which tier, how many ads, how many things you don't. But it includes Apple TV, iCloud Plus, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, Apple Fitness Plus, and Apple News Plus. So you got a lot of choices, Jack. If you want to reach out like Jack did, the email address is show@onlinetonight.com, or you can text voicemail 951-395-1017. Love to hear from you. What questions have you got? Let me know. It's Online Tonight. Stay tuned.
If you're an author interested in turning your works into audiobooks, Narrate Your Own Book is for you. Since 2005, David H. Lawrence XVII has taught 3,000 students the ins and outs of voiceover work, including narration of audiobooks. As an author, your curriculum includes more than the performance and recording aspects of narration. You also learn how to prepare your manuscript to become an audiobook and market it once it's finished. Visit narrateyourownbook.com for more information and a sample class. narrateyourownbook.com.
We're on the air live tonight. 1-800-39-ONLINE. 1-800-396-6546 is the number.
Online Tonight.
Well, for starters, they've got eyewitness descriptions that pretty much match up. And it's not the first time he's done it.
Is he in trouble?
It's illegal to obstruct the workings of a civil agency. There are certainly fines involved, possibly prosecution.
Do they know his name?
The police are on it, and they'll eventually track him down.
Putting down the game controller long enough to do this. This is Online Tonight. Now, here's Max.
All right. Had trouble with my button there, but thank you so much for joining us. My name is Max Smart. Name of the show is Online Tonight. Our broadcast Bionics Caller One system is available using our toll-free telephone number, 1-800-39-ONLINE. You can also reach out via text or voicemail and email. The text voicemail number, 951-395-1017. The email address, show@onlinetonight.com. Before we jump into our movie review, I have teamed up with Swag to the Max to introduce my new line of pirate t-shirts and other swag. See what I did there? You can find them by going to onlinetonight.com/store. It'll take you right to the shop, and you'll see our stuff's at the top, at least for now, the pirate-themed shirts. And then you can, and then the, like the tote bag and the mugs and all the other things, the hats, those will be added there at the top. And then, of course, you can check out their other stuff. You might be interested in their Jurassic Park parody shirt, which is a little bit further down. That seems to be a big seller for them. So there you go. Let's jump into our movie premiere, or movie thingy jobber dealio.
From Hollywood.
One very important thing, mate. I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
Blockbusters, tearjerkers, family fare.
Everything is awesome.
What's worth seeing in the theater, and what should you just watch at home?
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Here are your hosts.
I'm Max.
And I'm Victoria.
And we would like to share with you our thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth, rated PG-13, now available on Peacock. It was in the theaters. Well, so was Freakier Friday. If you missed that from hour one, you can grab the podcast or watch the YouTube archive. Jurassic World Rebirth, rated PG-13, now available streaming. I think it just started this last week. So we jumped right on it because I wanted to see it. And it has a different cast. What they've done in the past is they've brought in some of the original Jurassic Park people as like an advisor, or they did, kind of homages to those. You either saw photos of them or something that they carried around. I mean, there are some normal Jurassic Park type, I don't want to use the word gags, but, driving away in a vehicle and being chased, or having something in a bottle or a box, and the spitting dinosaurs are around. So they use a couple of the things that we're used to. They're like hidden little cameos or nostalgic moments that kind of help remind us what we loved about the original. Tell us a little bit about the premise and some of the stars, if you don't mind, Miss Victoria.
Okay. And by the way, this was the fourth highest grossing film of 2025 so far.
Nice.
Yeah, they did pretty well. So this is the first in the entire Jurassic franchise to not feature anyone from one of the previous movies.
You see, I noticed.
Yeah. Which is kind of a big deal because they kind of strung them together, and had that connection, the first trilogy and the second trilogy. And this is the seventh movie. So, there's the question, will there be more? Is it standalone? From the cast, it appears to be more of a standalone project. And this takes
I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
All right. Do I have all six? Do I own all six of meaning, do I have the first
I know you have the first trilogy.
I definitely have that, and I'm pretty sure I have the one where Chris trained Blue, etc. I think I have that, but I don't know if I have the others. So you're saying 7 now? I didn't realize it was 7.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And this takes place 5 years after the last Jurassic World, which was called Dominion, and that was in 2022, or that came out in 2022. And
that's not chronological.
The premise of this one is there's a team of people going to find dinosaurs so that the largest dinosaurs, so they can take blood samples, and they are sponsored by a pharmaceutical company because they want to come up with they want to cure heart disease. And they can't synthesize the original materials in a lab. They need the genetic material, the blood from the dinosaurs, because apparently extra large dinosaurs have extra large
hearts.
Well, yes, but they actually, if were not for natural disasters, they would live a very long time. They have a big lifespan. So they put together a team. The pharmaceutical company hires kind of an ops team, who does dangerous things, mercenaries or, ops people, let's just say. And they also bring along an expert on dinosaurs who has never actually seen dinosaurs in the wild. In this iteration, dinosaurs have been among people for a while now. And people are actually kind of tired of them. They're tired of seeing the dinosaurs at the museums and at the, real live dinosaurs. Sure. If you can imagine being tired of seeing dinosaurs, I guess it's the same as I've been to a zoo. I don't need to go to a zoo.
Right. You and I grew up where the only exposure to dinosaurs was we would see bones and animated videos, like claymation videos of what dinosaurs may or may not have been like.
I'm still
during
fascinated.
This period of time, sorry.
I'm still fascinated to go see the giant skeletons of woolly mammoths and, other dinosaurs in museums and stuff. It's still
okay. So, but then they started opening parks, where real live dinosaurs were walking around. So then, of course, the museums they completely flattened out. It's kind of like nobody went to get tapes when you could get DVDs in the mail. It's kind of that thing. Nobody ever went back to have the nostalgia of going to a museum and looking at brown bones, which were 90% of the time altered and like not real. You know, they were reproductions.
But in the beginning of the movie, they show that in this world at the time, I mean, people actually see dinosaurs walking around, and the dinosaurs have actually become kind of a nuisance because they're getting old and they're dying, and then they have these huge dinosaurs to deal with that, you know,
Right.
cause traffic
And then they've
problems.
got the little ones that are like Pizza Rat. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so anyway, the team is kind of excited to go and see dinosaurs in real life. But they don't really know what they're up against. And they also don't know that where they're going was a genetic lab where they actually bred mutant varieties of dinosaurs to try to come up with new ones that would make people like dinosaurs again. But of course, they end up making a lot of bad mutant, super huge.
Well, that's kind of the problem with scientists is that they figured out how to actually bring the dinosaurs back, and then they weren't happy with how scary they were, so then they made mutants to make them scarier. We're talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, rated PG-13 on Peacock.
And then there's a family also that's taking a pleasure trip before the daughter goes off to college, and they're on a boat trip that apparently they make a lot, but they cross paths with one of the creatures that the team is going after, and they are shipwrecked, and so the team helps them, and they end up being, you know, kind of in this without really wanting to be.
All right, so this was an unnecessary plot point, and what frustrated me was we know that every government in every country around the world has already said this body of water and these islands are off limit. No one's allowed to be there, and yet this family just willy-nilly decides that they're going to take a boat and go through it. Not responsible in any way, really. And then they end up being in danger. I mean, the reason why the government said that is because this is not a safe place. This is worse than the Bermuda Triangle. Final words and ratings.
I enjoyed kind of the throwback to seeing the dinosaurs in a habitat where they are not living with humans. I think that was part of the magic of the very first movies. So I enjoyed that. And of course, then you have the
rating
4.5.
Oh, well, I guess you liked it better than I did. We're talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, PG-13 on Peacock. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. I think I have all of them. I'll probably get this one just so that I have the collection. But I found some of the bits reused, and I had a pretty good idea what was going on, so I give it a 4. It's online tonight. I'm Max. Stay tuned.
Looking for a one-of-a-kind gift or to complete your own collection? Sumerian Collection offers a wide variety of vintage goods with new items added weekly. Books, collectibles, clothing items, jewelry, gadgets, and gizmos galore. Many items are from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, but exclusive finds from earlier time periods become available as well. Rare vintage items include dolls from around the world and foreign language books. Online shopping at Sumerian Collection is a breeze, with Etsy's secure payment processing and shipping to U.S. locations included free with every purchase. Visit SumerianCollection.etsy.com to see what's new and vintage this week. SAMERIAN Collection.etsy.com. SAMERIAN Collection.etsy.com. Sumerian Collection.
Hey, bookmark this.
All right, each and every hour we give you a website, a URL, a bookmark that we hope you find fun, entertaining, or educational. This one is extremely long, so I made you a shorty. And what's different is it actually takes you to an image. It's a worksheet. So go to onlinetonight.com/turkey worksheet, all one word. onlinetonight.com/turkey worksheet. If you go to the website, look for episode number 2090. You can click right on there for the hour 2 bookmark this, and it'll take you to the dailyhostess.com website. Do you ever feel that you're getting overwhelmed preparing for Thanksgiving dinner? Well, this is a printable worksheet that is like a shopping list, It's a menu, and it even talks about cooking times. And you can use it as it is, or you can use it as a resource to come up with your own kind of twists and tips and rules to kind of get through that busy cooking day. I know that it is all encompassing, and at least in our household, because I like to cook, I probably more so than Miss Victoria would like. She would prefer that I get out of the kitchen, and I'm all like, "Oh, I'm gonna make the stuffing, and I'm gonna help with the green bean casserole, and and she's like, "Get out!" Well, at least that's what it seems like. I'm happy to help. I love being in the kitchen. I like making food because I get to sample stuff. The one thing I know I get to do for sure, unless we break it into all little pieces, is when we do a whole turkey, whether we roast a whole turkey or we deep fry a whole turkey. We have now been going to this part method where we don't have to carve the thing. Oh, I still get to carve the breasts. I get to carve the thing. So that's when she allows me back into the kitchen. Otherwise, I guess she feels I'm like the dog and I'm underfoot and she gets frustrated. Is that correct or not correct? Am I misunderstanding, or can I just jump right into the kitchen this year?
No, I need a lot of elbow room when I'm preparing that many dishes at one time.
All right. Well, I appreciate your honesty. So if you want to get that worksheet, head over to onlinetonight.com/turkey worksheet. onlinetonight.com/turkey worksheet. That's this hour's bookmark. This made possible by Paramount Plus. All 8 episodes of their brand new Paramount Plus streaming comedy series, called Crush, by the way. It stars Tracy Morgan. Those are now available. And you can check it out by going to onlinetonight.com/stream, onlinetonight.com/STREAM.
Online tonight.
All right, so earlier somebody asked about Apple TV's video service, not the Apple TV 4K box thing, but the actual service where you can watch movies and Major League software, and we talked about pricing. So I thought I would just hit up some pricing updates real quick. Paramount Plus has decided they're going to start increasing their prices. They're going to raise it by $1 a month starting January 15th of 2026. That's next year. Ad-supported essential plan will go from $8 to $9. Still a pretty good value, especially if you are into Jurassic World Rebirth and those things. You know that you would, if you were to see that in the theater, you'd pay $18. So you're already saving like $9. Ad-free premium, it goes from $13 to $14. So not a horrible increase, but not like my coffee, which went from $3.95 to $5.80. That is ridiculous, which is why I don't go there anymore. I bought a $1,200 coffee machine. I make it at home now. I save. It seems like I'm not saving, but you don't know how much coffee I drink. So I'm saving a lot of money now. Annual plans will likely adjust from $90 for the essential, go to $90 for the essential and $140 for the premium. Price hike justified by the addition of the UFC fights, which is available now without having to pay a pay-per-view fee. Those used to go for 30, 40, 50, 60, $80. And now they're included in your plans. And they haven't changed their prices since August of 2024. So they've been reasonable, I think. Speaking of streaming and different services, as we talked about, rising inflation in the U.S. is causing consumers to make some adjustments to their household expenses, and almost all of them that were surveyed said they're going to keep their streaming services. They're not going to cut a lot of those. 63% of Americans with subscriptions can't afford all the services that they want. 55% say that their streaming bills are higher than they would like them to be, but compared to cable TV, I personally, if I compare it to my old cable TV rates, I am saving a ton of money. Consumer prioritize forever subscriptions that won't cancel. Meaning this is a have to have, and they will not cancel it. Netflix is leading in that category, 60%. Prime Video is next, I believe, with 31%, and 24% of Hulu subscribers say it's a forever subscription. They have to have it. Many rotate, by the way, between different ad-supported and ad-free tiers to help manage costs. 42% downgrade to cheaper plans, and 39% upgrade to avoid those annoying ads. I say annoying because for whatever reason, Hulu thinks I'm Spanish. I don't speak one lick of Spanish. The only word I know in Spanish is no. I mean, other than food items, and that's just because, they've Americanized tacos and enchiladas and chimichangas. I'm probably saying it wrong if I went to the, country of origin. Bundling is increasingly popular because it helps save a lot of money. We talked about how you could add $2 to the Apple subscription bundle on Infinity and get Peacock and Netflix for only $2 more. So bundling is a big thing. 68% of subscribers buy indirectly through these bundles or third-party channels, and they save a lot of money, especially if they have a lot of bundles. 22% of subscribers switched to bundle deals in the last 6 months, mostly in the Gen Z category. Despite cost-cutting measures, consumers show willingness to tolerate ads or tier changes to retain their favorite services. Amazon Fire TV has updated their watch lists and their continue watching sections across multiple streaming platforms. They are They now share their watch list with Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV, Paramount, RTL, and WOW. Content added and started on other platforms will automatically appear in the Fire TV overview section. Very similar to what's been going on an Apple TV 4K for quite some time. You can just hover over the Apple logo and you'll see, what do you want to keep watching? That's a lot of fun. And the update does require Fire OS 6, and you can manually install it if it's not automatic by going to Settings, My Fire TV, Info, and check for system updates. Don't forget, if you missed any portion of the show, you can head over to OnlineTonight.com, where you can check out the podcast, the show notes. This is episode 2090. You can visit our store, OnlineTonight.com/store, where we have our new line of pirate t-shirts, or my line of pirate t-shirts. And if you're a YouTube watcher, you can go to youtube.com/@OnlineTonight.tv. No, not .tv, just TV.
Online Tonight is produced and copyrighted by Smart Family Media. All rights reserved. Host Maxwell Smart. Producer and other hats worn by Victoria Smart. Views and opinions expressed are those of the host, guest, and callers, and are not necessarily those of the station, its management, affiliates, or other advertisers.